So I think what we'd like to do is start with some brief remarks, 5 minutes or so, from each of you. And then we can open it up to, first of all, questions from me, and then questions from the audience. So,
okay.
Your Excellency, why don't you begin?
So I will be the first victim?
Yes, number one.
Okay. Well, I would like to thank Aspen Institute and New York University Abu Dhabi for organizing this very important event. I would like also to thank them for choosing space as one of the topics. This is a clear support for UAE space sector and space program. I would like to take this opportunity and give you an overview of UAE space sector. UAE government has identified space as a key sector to be developed for a number of reasons. We think that through space, it's a bridge towards the future. So a long time ago, UAE started a number of space initiatives, space projects. Today, UAE has the largest space sector in the region with a direct investment of more than 20 billion dirhams, equivalent to around $5 or to $6 billion. The country operates and owns 6 large satellites. That number will be doubled in the next few years. UAE launched the first Arab and Islamic mission to Mars. This is a new domain for us, which is the space science and planetary science. Our sector is promising. We have more than 600 people working in the sector. Half of them are nationals. Women are well represented in that, more than 30%. And the average age is around 30 years, 35 years. So we think our space sector is healthy, young, very excited about achieving the goal of UAE. We have a good relationship. We believe that space is all about cooperation. We managed through the last 2 years to sign more than 13 space cooperation agreements with almost all space nations, of course, including NASA. Her Excellency was in charge of that with Charlie Bolden. He visited us here, and we were proud of that deal. We also are focusing on, we do believe that building capacity and human factor is a key for our space program, and we are focusing on how to build the next space engineers. We do a lot of initiatives in the area of education, awarenesses, and preparing our future young people to be part of the space program. I think within the recent announcement of UAE, we enjoyed great support from our leadership, our government, and our people, and friends and colleagues like you. And we will continue developing our space sector for the benefits of the people, not just only UAE, but our region and the world. And we will continue our program with confidence. Thank you.
All right, very good. So, Dava.
Got it right. I've only known you for 30 years. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. So again, my thanks to the Aspen Institute. It's to be a guest in this incredible nation and be partners. Pleasure to be here. What a great couple days we've had. So there's the enduring questions. Where do we come from? We're in search of the beginnings of the solar system, and we're getting a lot of data from all the missions. Are we alone, and are there habitable planets? The evidence is mounting. Thousands and thousands of exoplanets, Earth-like planets. And is there life? And then we get to Mars. How about past life on Mars? Because Earth and Mars are both 4.5 billion years old. Sister planets. We think Mars probably was. The evidence is mounting. Warm, wet, livable. 3.5 billion years ago, then maybe something went wrong. Because today, Mars is pretty cold. Pretty hostile environment. But we're on the search. We're on the search for life, as has been mentioned. Why is that so important? All of our exploration throughout the entire solar system, to me, and I think to a lot of us, just comes right back here to Earth. It comes back to spaceship Earth. This is our one planet that's really beautiful and wonderful. We've got to take care of it. It's very fragile. So all of our exploring tells us about humanity, tells us about our choices, where we come from, where we are today, and maybe where we're going in the future. The future of space exploration, I think, is incredibly bright. It's quite a privilege to serve at NASA for 2 years and be able to travel the world and have international partners. And I think it is, for me, and I think a lot of us, it's all about the next generation. Actually, I call them the Mars generation, because it's someone in high school or college today that in the 2030s boots on Mars. It's the kids. It's not going to be us. We're, sorry, a little bit. Sarah, maybe not you. Could be you. But we're all too old. But we do all of this, you know, and it's global. The other point is it's completely global. It's not one nation, one state, one space agency. It's public-private partnerships. It's international, cooperative, global exploration to other worlds. We will become interplanetary species. I'm certain of it. I hope it's in the next decade or two. But then again, all of our exploring just so that we can first and foremost think about Spaceship Earth, think about humanity in our existence here. I think we'll go into the details. As an aerospace engineer, rocket science, I want to tell you about all the technology that we can't get there tomorrow, to Mars. It's been a long time since we've gotten back to the moon. So we have a plan. There's a plan to go from low Earth orbit to cislunar space, get back to the moon. Yes, we need to get back to deep space, and then we'll be ready to go to Mars. But we have, you know, we just can't turn it on and do it tomorrow. So that's why this long-term thinking, 2117 from the United Arab Emirates, that's the way people should think. Wish we could do that in our government. You know? We need to think that 100 years out, because then we can accomplish those goals. So, but we're all in this together, and I think the future is very bright.
Okay. Sarah?
So I really like where you started off. Our endeavor in space is not an endeavor of one nation. It's not an endeavor of one space agency. It's not an endeavor of any one entity on this planet. If there ever was a sector where we can unite all of humanity, where the borders would be useless, it's space for exploration, it's space for the need to know more, and it's space for the thirst of exploration, for the thirst of going to the heavens that ancestors and generations upon generations of humanity have looked up upon. That's pretty far out in terms of what we can do as a human race. And I'd like to touch up on what we're doing on the Emirates Mars mission. I'm sure a lot of people here have heard us talk countless times about the benefits of the mission, why we're going there, what it's really about. And I want to talk about one story, and I'm really sorry for the person that I'm going to point out, but I just met her earlier. I'm just giving you a heads up. I just met her earlier, and I've met her almost a year ago. And to me, this is what the Emirates Mars mission is about. Ali and Mansouri, may I please ask you to stand up? And yeah. So that's my Exhibit A. So I'd like to talk, no, keep on standing up, because I'm sure you need this round of applause. She is what the Emirates Mars mission is completely about. The Mars generation, that's her, that we're talking about here. Less than 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, she wouldn't have the opportunity to participate and to work in a sector of space, or even to realize the dream that she has for planetary exploration if this mission did not exist and if the UAE did not look to endeavor into that area. Like the Apollo mission, that large moonshot for the UAE, this is the Mars shot of the UAE. And I met her about a year ago. I have never, mashallah, seen somebody that is so passionate about exploration, so passionate about wanting to know more. I've seen her at every single space event that has been around, and every single space event that has been around was because of the mission, because of the space agency existing. And just about 3-4 weeks ago, she got a chance to win in a competition and have an experiment fly to the International Space Station. Thank you, Adia. For me, this is what the Emirates Mars mission is about. It's about creating opportunity in science and technology, and specifically for scientists of the future to work and development in a country that people like myself had to inhibit some of my dreams and my development aspirations because I thought that opportunity wouldn't exist. It's about creating venues for youth from today and actually engaging them in the development process. Dr. Al Ahbabi spoke about the average age of the space sector to being 35. The average age of the Emirates Mars mission team is actually 27. It's even lower than that. And it's a clear message to the youth in this region and to any region. It's a clear message to the Emirates generation, to the Mars generation. I'd like that you've actually mentioned that there are governments out there that would support and actually engage youth that some people think of, and we've heard that a lot as a team, as not representative of what a usual average age of a team is, lacks experience, but providing that large monumental project, something that is a large risk. Going to space is not, it's very difficult, there's nothing easy about it, and providing them with all the necessary tools and resources and believing that they would be able to achieve it. That is what creates sustainability in the space sector and any other sector, and that's what sort of develops our opportunities when it comes to space and engages people in creating the future today. So it's the likes of Hadi and it's the likes of the different members that are currently joining our team year after year who would make space exploration happen, who would make colonizing Mars happen, having them engaged in the process of development from today rather than plopping sort of the process 30 years from now and telling them to please continue and move forward is, to me, what space is about here in the UAE.
So I'll ask a few questions, and then we'll open it up to the audience. So, Your Excellency, I'm interested in knowing how this decision to send a probe to Mars by the Emirates came about, because this is really a remarkable phenomenon. I mean, every country that has sent a successful probe to Mars has had a population of over 200 million people. So this is undertaking a challenge that, Brazil hasn't taken on, Argentina, various European nations, they've done it all collectively, but why hasn't France done this? But you're doing it. So how did this decision come about?
The decision actually came from our visionary leadership. UAE, through the last almost 40 years, set a model for the region. And our leadership believe that through science and technology, this part of the world might regain its reputation and draw a positive picture about that this region is a contributor to humanity and to the world. And the government set a number of goals for this project, or the idea behind this project, came from a number of national goals for UAE. First, to inspire young people to STEM education and to science, regardless where they end up, but at least to inspire them, attract them, and engage them. And either they go to the space sector or they go to the other sectors, because they will reach a level where they will be more productive for the country. Another goal, to send a message to the world that yes, from this region, from this part of the world, from this small nation, it's possible. And also to assure our people and to gain confidence through this project that yes, it's possible that we can deliver and can be a contributor to the positive thing in the world. It also inspire and provide hope, not to the UAE youth, but to our region. I think it's known that tens or probably 100 millions of young people living in our region, and in spite of what's happening, the difficult time that our region is going through, this type of projects provide a light in the tunnel that for better future. And there's also an objective for this project that UAE can add to the space science for the benefits of humankind. And it's a small contribution from UAE for the space science community to understand Mars, so we can solve some problems on our planet. So the government has a visionary leader, a vision for the future. And also it's unified all sectors towards one goal. The private sectors, the educational, the academia, we are working towards one unified goal. And this is, of course, building a culture for collaboration among different entities in UAE. So it's a great project for us. We started to see the benefits. Young people, as Sarah mentioned, Alia is one of these people who became inspired, and we so many people, they came to the space agency. Some of them, they want to go to Mars, as young people. So I think the benefits on the short and the medium and long term will be great, and we are so excited and we are proud, and we are moving to deliver this project with confidence.
Okay. So, Dave, the NASA has done a lot on its own, but it's also running ISS program together with Russians, Europeans, Japanese. And now you also have rising up in the United States a serious private commercial space sector, notably SpaceX. So how do you see NASA working with both the international partners and the private space industry to make its horizon goal of humans to Mars happen?
So that is absolutely the future. I actually called it the new NASA when I got there, because it's public-private partnerships, and that partnerships are both domestic and international. It takes everyone. It has to be very strategic, but to give you, an idea and to celebrate these investments, government, as government should do, I think, need to fund the private sector. So yes, so NASA is funding SpaceX and new rocket capability, and Boeing, and orbital ATK. So NASA said, okay, we're going to buy services from the private sector because economically, this makes sense. We need this capability. So that's just cargo to the station. Next up is the astronauts. As Buzz mentioned, right now we're working together famously with the Russians and the rest of our International Space Station partners, but you like your own capability as well. So that's great. Redundancy is always good. So it's great that the Russians are famous friends. Soft diplomacy, the best thing going between the U.S. and Russia, I would submit, is our human spaceflight program. We've been working together for decades. Apollo, Soyuz, and on. And we are famous friends. Engineers and scientists, we work together every day. It's fun. We're all after the same goal. So it unites us. And making these bets in the private sector, in the U.S., and the new space and startups, guess what? We are betting on their success. It's a little risky. We want to commercialize low Earth orbit and communications, satellites. Of course, it makes sense. Harder case, of course, for human spaceflight. What about Earth-Moon? Cislunar, the moon? We're going to hear a little bit more about that. That's great. I mean, anything that's commercially viable, I think it's the government's role to seed that. It's kind of like the startup. You got to keep the money going. And boy, when they're successful, that's just the win-win. Because guess what? NASA has a constrained budget. So guess what? If some of these bets play off, the private sector gets going, does what private sector can do best, then you do the things that are 100 years out. You do the next decades. That's how we get to Mars. But it really is just a combination of public-private international partnership. Spaceflight's hard, as Sarah mentioned. Mars is really, really hard. So it does take everybody. And then we can all work together, and we're better. That's the bet. It's risky, but that's the bet. We can all work together, and we can do better work. Or we have other options. We can go against each other. I don't subscribe to that. I say, let's get all the great brains together and work together. And so these are choices. These are choices for governments and for space going forward. And so far, I think we're placing the bets, and we're seeing the results already with investing in the private sector and new innovative capabilities. We do not need to do business the same old way. We need innovation. We need the breakthrough technologies.
So, Sarah, I'd like to ask you, you referred to it with one example during your talk. What has been the response of young people here in Abu Dhabi and in the Emirates to this announcement that, UAE is doing this, that we're part of the space race now. What has been the response at the different college, secondary school, primary school? What have you seen from the kids?
It's opened upon them quite a large new horizons. That's about how I can summarize it. I have an example of a student that started off about 2 years ago in college as a freshman, studying international relations, so political science. And once the project was announced a year later, he switched his major to math. So that's quite a large jump. And then another university took the example of the Emirates Mars mission and finally started offering a bachelor's degree in physics, because there was starting to be a better understanding of how the basic sciences fit together with our daily lives, when that wasn't the case. So if we look at the numbers of at least publications off the universities here in the UAE, about 60% of them actually are applied sciences. So they're the engineerings and the derivatives of engineering. When usually in nations, it's the other way around. It's supposed to be the basic sciences that actually outweighs a lot of the applied sciences in terms of the research and development, because that gives us a sustainable long-term development. So fundamental research, basic science research gives us sustainable development when it comes to developing science and developing technologies of the future. And then also building upon our knowledge-based economy. You can't have a knowledge-based economy without generating knowledge. So your raw materials is science and technology and science-based research. And we've seen a larger number of people have a better understanding of math, physics, what a physicist can do, what a mathematician can do, and a better appreciation of the sort of careers that they can have above and beyond being an academic in academic and university, and above and beyond being a teacher at a school who's teaching math and physics. So that's one positive outcome that we've gotten. In about a year since we've announced the mission, we've managed to reach about 15,000 students. And that's students from 3 years of age, students that are currently in nursery, preschool, all the way to students that are at PhD level. And we've been able to engage them with regards to the messaging of the mission. This mission, the importance of science and education and outreach and engaging students and universities in it is so large that we have a deputy project manager within the project that's actually concerned with that. It's actually it's actually one of the derivatives of the project, and it's one of the KPIs that the agency has so nicely actually placed on the team that's doing the development, that not only do you need to build a spacecraft, not only do you need to get useful scientific data out of it, analyze it, and also publish it, and engage the universities, you also need to engage students at every level and have them engage in the development process of the project, not directly, but because they are the byproducts of what this project is really about, as Dr. Mohammed spoke about. And that's what we've seen in students. They're very passionate about it. It's opened new horizons for them, and it's opened new facets for learning and new facets for contributing to the UAE's economy.
So let's close it there.